So you're thinking of moving to Salida, Colorado? In this video, I'm going to go over several pros and cons of living in this small mountain town. And if you stick around to the end, there will be a con reveal that you might not have considered. If you're new to this channel, welcome. Please be sure to subscribe and also hit the red notification bell to be notified as soon as new videos come available. In this channel, I go over all that you need to know about living in Salida, Colorado and surrounding areas. I'm Monica McCarthy, a realtor in Salida, Colorado, and I specialize in real estate in this area. If you are interested in moving here, then I'm interested in talking to you about that. I help get calls from people like you all the time looking to transition to this area. So whether you're wanting to move in a few weeks or a few months, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help you make a smooth transition to Salida, Colorado and surrounding areas. All right, on to the pros and cons of living in Salida, Colorado. Now, Salida, Colorado is a small mountain town. There's a lot of awesome stuff going for it. So we're gonna cover the pros first, and then we're gonna get into some cons with some explanation of those things. So pro number one is the people. I'll give you a little story. So I moved here a little over 7 years ago, and I was living in the Denver metro area, a big city, and I was looking to live in the mountains and went on a quest for about a year, just traveling on into multiple small mountain towns in and around Colorado area. Salida was the clear winner, and I'll tell you why. The community and the people in this area are absolutely amazing. One of the things that really stood out for me in my quest was the fact that it does feel like a year-round community. There are some mountain towns that it's pretty transient. You have people coming for the ski season and then they're gone. So you have people that live here year round. They're friendly, they're amazing. It really is a heartwarming, heart-centered community. We're actually the heart of the Colorado mountains. So there's some slogans that say follow the hearts to Salida. And that truly is, it's location based, but also just sentiment based. The people in the community here are absolutely amazing. It's friendly. You often run into people that you know. I call them my Salida moments. So you will go to the grocery store and you'll run into somebody that was perhaps your waiter at the restaurant the night before, or just various people that you see in town. I often will run into when I'm just going out and about, which I really like. And if you've been here for a few years, you recognize faces, and it's just a warm, friendly town. So definite pro is the community and people here. Another pro are the outdoor options. That is a huge draw to living in this area. People come here often for that draw. That was one of the initial things that I came here for, is I found myself when I lived in the city trying to escape to the mountains as often as possible. And so when you live in the city, in Denver, for example, or many cities, you have, some trails, some stuff to do, but often you have to drive pretty far, and usually the trails that you do get to are pretty crowded because everybody else living in the city is trying to go to those on the weekend. Not so much in Salida. It is abundant in outdoor options here. For starters, we have the Arkansas River that flows through the center of town. So in the summertime, you have people, all of our rafting companies are open. People are whitewater rafting, kayaking, paddleboarding, There's also gold medal fly fishing on that river. And then, throughout the year, you have people visiting the river for all of the activities there. Also, we have Monarch Mountain, just 20-30 minutes outside of town. That is a huge draw in the wintertime. It's an independently owned ski resort. And so it's just amazing to live this close to a ski place. I was just there for closing day the other day and talking to somebody about the fact that, I haven't visited a lot of the other ski resorts in the Colorado area because it's so convenient to go to this one. Like, why drive 2 hours and wait in traffic on I-70 if you're coming from Denver, for example? People wait in traffic to get to all of the ski resorts in Summit County. So like Aspen, Vail, all of those up there. Here, There's not a whole lot of traffic. You just go up the mountain and you have this access to ski area. And it's funny because here it's not uncommon during the winter for various places to close early or open late when there's a powder day. So that's another thing about it. So the ski resort draws a lot of people out here. And then also our trail systems, they are fantastic. So we have in town, the Arkansas Hills, which is S Mountain, the primary mountain in town. And then there's a bunch of trails all around there. And we also have a Methodist mountain trail system that's just outside of town. And those trails can actually connect. But those are trails that they're constantly being improved upon and added to, and they're amazing for mountain biking, hiking, trail running. It's a really cool trail systems that we have in this area. So if you're into any of those things, easy access from town. And in addition to that, as you head out of town, both to the east and to the west of town is Monarch Mountain, all the way up Highway 50 to Monarch Mountain. We have multiple trails and county roads with access to trails all along the way. And this is good all year round. So you could go snowshoeing on some of them in the wintertime and then hiking in the summertime. I love the fact that any day of the year, there is a trail that you can go on. You just kind of have to pick and choose based on what you want, what the weather is, and what the current conditions are. Just last weekend, I decided, it's still kind of snowy up high, so I chose to not go too far up high. So I decided to do a trail in Methodist Mountain. It was lower elevation, no snow, completely clear, and did a lovely hike that way. So it really depends on what you're looking for in the time of year. You will be able to find a trail to hike, run, and then snowshoe in the winter. It's pretty amazing. We just have abundant outdoor options here. So that was pro number 2, which is outdoor options. Number 3, our weather. Now, we do live in the mountains. However, we live in what's called a banana belt. So Salida is in a valley surrounded by 3 mountain ranges. And the way the climate works with that is it's just a warmer climate. So we do get snow. I don't want to pretend like we don't, but it's not nearly as bad as other mountain towns, particularly at our elevation. We're at over 7,000 feet in Salida. So that high can often mean snow all winter long. That is not the case in Salida. And that is actually one of the things that drew me to this area as well, is we have pretty mild winters for living in the mountains. It does get cold. We do get some snow. There will be a handful of snow days. There will be a handful of days where you need to plow your driveway or have your driveway plowed, particularly if you're outside of town, or shovel snow. But the snow often melts very quickly. We have that amazing Colorado sun that melts everything really quickly. So you could have a day or two that feels, cold and dark, and then the sky opens up, the sun comes out. If you have, a warm jacket on, it feels amazing, and you can still go outside and play. So that's another great thing about this area, is pretty mild winters for living in the mountains. I do want to disclose, we do have some wind, particularly in the springtime. So that's something to keep in mind, because we are in a mountain valley. So there is some wind in the spring, but it's kind of the price you pay sometimes for our mild winters and just being in this gorgeous, gorgeous area. Our next pro is the art and event scene in Salida. We are in a creative district in Salida. We have a huge concentration of galleries and artists, particularly in our downtown area. And in addition to that, we have a lot of amazing events, particularly in the summertime. One thing that really draws people to this area is just our cool downtown area, where you can visit a bunch of local artists. And then also there's just a lot going on. For as small of a town it is, there's a lot going on, particularly in the summertime. In the summertime, we have, in relation to the artists, there's an art walk where a lot of the galleries are open, and a lot of the galleries are actually open on First Fridays now. So that's another draw. We have events pretty much all year round. In the summertime, one of our largest events is FibArc, where it's a huge whitewater festival, and it's been going on. Last year was the 75th anniversary. So it's been going on for quite a while. It has turned into kind of a regional, even national event, where there's a lot of people coming from out of town There are races and live music and just a lot of fun activities going on in town. It really draws a lot of out-of-towners, a lot of visitors to our area. And so there's fun events like that. There's various artist events. We have a farmer's market all summer long, and live music. And Riverside Park, we have a small amphitheater with a stage, and so there's live music. In the summertime, we also have the Steam Plant Event Center that hosts various events, and sometimes there's a comedian there, live music, things like that. So it's a happening little town. For as small as we are, there's a lot of fun stuff going on, particularly in the summertime, but really all year round. So the art scene and events is another huge pro to living in this area. Here, another pro is no traffic. So if you're in a city and you waste 30 minutes, an hour, how much time do you spend in traffic right now? Do a little take on that, and how is that making you feel when you arrive at your destination? It was very liberating for me. I used to live in the Denver area and have a commute like most people do in the city. And you know, some days are better than others, but you're planning your day around, oh, can I get to that part of town because it's almost 5? Oh, I have to either go now or wait until what, 6, 7 o'clock and miss rush hour. So, or add an extra, 30 minutes to an hour to your commute, depending on where you live. So that doesn't happen here. There's no traffic. I joked when we first moved here of looking at Google Maps where it tells you, you know, traffic light, or, you know, the best route due to traffic, how Google has that automatically. I mean, there's never a time that there's a lot of traffic in Salida. You might have to wait a few beats to turn left onto 50. But you're not dealing with like a rush hour through the city type of thing. It just doesn't happen. And so depending on where you live, you could be living in the downtown area where your commute is a bicycle ride. That's a really common one for a lot of people here. Where you're just outside of town, where you're 5 minutes away, 10 minutes away. I live 10 minutes away, and sometimes I'm like, oh, that feels so hard to go home. But no, there's no traffic on the way. It's just a distance, and it is really nice to not have to worry about traffic. So that's a huge one. I feel like it's not just time, but it's also just energy and overall feel when you're living somewhere where you don't have the added stress of the go traffic. It's pretty huge lifestyle change. All right, and that transitions into another pro, which is the vibe. You know, maybe that sounds a little bit of like a hippie thing to say, but there really is a vibe to this town. And what I mean by that is it just feels, if you've never been here before, walk through the town, get a feel for, you know, what is the overall sentiment of the people there. A quick story on that, when I was searching on where to live, that was one of the things looking for. You know, you hang out at a place to get a feel for whether or not you like it. And I was at a bakery in town, Little Red Hen Bakery, which is an awesome spot, by the way, and happened to strike up a conversation with a couple there. Really easy to do in town, by the way. There's a lot of friendly people here, but asked them, you know, how long they lived here, whether or not they liked it, that sort of thing. And one of them shared with me, has stuck with me forever. They said, "We love it here. It feels like we're on vacation every day." Whoa, what is that like? And so you do. I mean, people vacation here. People live here. You can, you know, you can work and have your own stresses and all the things of life, but you are in a place that the overall feel is just calmer. Like I said, the no traffic, the calmer vibe. It's casual. You don't see people walking around really dressed up, and it's just kind of chill. So if that's something that you're interested in, then Salida is a great place to consider for you. It doesn't have the hustle and bustle and high stress of like a big city. So the vibe, huge pro to living in Salida. All right, I feel like I could go on with more pros, but let's switch over to the cons because I want to be real with you. So some cons of living in Salida, Colorado, and I'm going to give a little bit of an explanation to these as well. So the first one is we're in a remote location. So we are about 3 hours or so from Denver, about 2.5 from Colorado Springs, depending on where you are. And that can be a limitation, particularly if you are a business traveler The closest airport is in Colorado Springs, and then the Denver International Airport is the closest international airport. So a lot of times Colorado Springs, if you're flying out of there, you'll have a layover in Denver to get to your final destination. There are very few direct flights from Colorado to Springs, although there are some. And so that's a limitation. If you're traveling anywhere, you have to kind of keep that in mind. You know, it's doable. There are people that live here that travel for work, and they just kind of factor that in, and it's worth it to be away from the city when they chose this place to live based on lifestyle. And then, you know, sometimes you have to travel. So that is a limitation. So if you're somebody who travels all the time, you don't want any commute or very little commute to the airport, you know, Salida has that challenge. So keep that in mind. Another con would be that there's not a huge bustling industry here. It is a smaller town. There are some people that move here because of a job, but many of the people who move here either come with their own jobs or they're starting their own businesses. There's a lot of remote workers that have come here, particularly since COVID, but even before then. So there's a lot of people who come here for the lifestyle and then bring the work with them so they can stay. So, you know, we have the hospital, we have Monarch Mountain, we have the Forest Service. There's a few business providers that can provide some job and employment options here. There's a lot of small business here, and, you know, it just doesn't have a ton of work prospects. If you're wanting to move here and just find a job, that can be a challenge if it's not remote. Another con would be the amenities. So we're in a small mountain town. There's no big box stores. There's no mall. So if you go to Target every Saturday, not here. There's no Home Depot. So that's good and bad. When I first moved here from Denver, I thought I was gonna need to go back to the city a lot, because it's really hard when you're in a space where you have access to so many things. How are you gonna live without those things, right? But I've found you don't really need them. And there's a lot of small businesses that fill those needs. You just have to kind of familiarize with what's here. We do have some grocery stores. We have Safeway, we have Natural Grocers, and we also have Walmart. And Walmart can be a good option for a lot of the things that you need. Anything you can't get here, Amazon. So I do know some people who go to Colorado Springs and they do a big Costco run, or they'll go to Canyon City and go to Home Depot there. So it kind of depends on what your needs are, but it's amazing how you don't really need those big box stores, in my opinion. So you decide for yourself, but they're not here. So another con, our last con that I'll go over today, is healthcare. So we do live in where there's a hospital here called the Heart of the Rockies Regional Medical Center. It is the main hospital for our region. So a lot of the people in Salida and surrounding areas, particularly Southern Colorado, will come to this area. So if you need to be right near a hospital, there is a hospital right in town, no problem. And like I said, it's a big employer as well. However, it's not huge. So if you are in need of a specialist, you'll need to go to the city. So that means either Colorado Springs or Denver, and then sometimes Summit County, people will go over the mountain pass to go that way, depending on what their needs are. So there are some specialists here, but not very many. So it depends on what your issue is, what your needs are, and that's just a component of living in this area. And our healthcare is decent, but not great, and certainly not what you'd find in a metro area, but we are cared for. In addition to that, kind of dovetailing off of that, is health insurance can often be more costly here. It depends on whether or not you're covered by your employer, but if you're a business owner, sometimes that can be a little bit harder just because there are fewer options. There are fewer insurance carriers that cover this area. So that's another one to keep in mind if you're coming out here. Maybe talk to your insurance and make sure that they cover this area, and then find out if your premium changes or not. So not a huge issue, but something just to keep in mind if you are somebody who really needs a certain type of health care. Keep that in mind. So I hope you found these pros and cons of living in Salida, Colorado helpful. Really appreciate you watching. If you have any other questions about living in Salida, Colorado, or you're ready to come over here, reach out to me. I'm Monica McCarthy, a realtor that specializes in this area, and I'd be happy to set up a time to chat with you a little bit more about what you're looking for and see if I'd be a good fit to help you. I appreciate you watching. Please subscribe and like this video if you found it helpful, Thank you so much for watching. I'm Monica McCarthy, your resource for Chavey County Real Estate. Thank you.